Good day, my dear students. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is the part 2 of our discussion about inverse function. In this video, pag-uusapan natin ang inverse of a function. We only have one objective, and that is you should be able to determine the inverse of a function. Intuitively, or in a real manner, the inverse of a function may be known by the principle of undo. Ibig sabihin, ia-undo lang natin yung mga mangyayari. That is, by considering the inverse of operations performed, babalita rin natin yung mga pina-perform na operation, and the inverse of a function may be computed easily. So, katulad yun ang sinabi natin dati, katulad ng pagsusuot ng medyas at saka ng sapatos, para ma-inverse natin yon, huhubarin natin muna yung sapatos, and then huhubarin natin yung medyas. So, nagsimula tayo sa dulo, no? At babalita rin din natin yung mga operations. Hindi natin siya isusuot yung sapatos, no? Nagsimula tayo sa dulo, pero hindi natin siya isusuot. Huhubarin natin siya. So, ibig sabihin, we will reverse all the operations as well as the processes. That is the intuitive way to solve for or to determine the inverse of a function. Anong ibig kong sabihin? Given the function 3x minus 8, pwede nating hanapin yung kanyang inverse using intuition. So, sa 3x minus 8, i-inverse lang natin yung process. So, alamin muna natin kung paano natin siya isosolve. So, ang una natin gagawin dyan, pag tayo ay nag-solve, pag tayo ay nag-evaluate ng function, i-multiply muna natin si 3 kay x, and then, tsaka natin ima-minus si 8. So, basically, ang uli natin ginawa ay minus natin si 8. So, kaya ngayon, i-inverse natin siya. We will add 8 to the given variable x. Kaya magkakaroon tayo ng x plus 8. And then, ang pangalawa sa huli natin ginawa ay ang pagmumultiply ng 3 at x. So, gagawin natin, i-divide natin ngayon si 3 dun sa x plus 8. We have x plus 8 divided by 3. Therefore, since nagawa na natin lahat ng reverse na processes, so we only have now the inverse of the function f, which is x plus 8 divided by 3. By intuition. Pero of course, medyo mahirap siya kasi wala siyang definite process. Kaya, bibigyan ko kayo ngayon ng process na pwede nyong masunod without solving it intuitively. The given function earlier was f of x is equal to 3x minus 8. To get the inverse of a function, una, you have to replace f of x with y. So, si f of x daw, gagawin lang natin siyang y. And then, we write the function. So, we now have y equals 3x minus 8. Second step is to interchange the x and y. So, si y, gagawin nating x, at si x ay gagawin nating y. Therefore, we now have x equals 3y minus 8. So, napansin nyo, pinalitan natin si y at pinalitan natin si x ng x at y respectively. Third, to solve for y in terms of x. So, of course, alam naman natin na mga function ay dapat naka-solve for y in terms of x or naka y equals blah blah blah. So, dito ang ating naging function ay x equals 2. So, kailangan i-isolate natin, no, yung technique na tinuturo natin palagi sa math, kailangan ma-solve natin si y dyan. That is, removing all the variables or numbers na kasama ni y dito sa ating right part of the equation. So, syempre, gagawin natin dyan, we have to use the addition property para mawala si negative 8, or just simply transpose negative 8, that becomes plus 8 equals 3y. And then, we divide this one by 3. So, we now have, paligtarin lang natin siya, y equals x plus 8 divide 3. And then, after we solve for y in terms of x, so nakita na natin nandiyan na si y, Fourth step is to replace y with f raised to negative 1. So that refers to, lagyan natin siya ng x ha, that refers to the inverse of the function y. So we have here the f of x and we have here the inverse of that f of x. So again, first, replace f of x. Palit lang tayo ng kulay ng ballpen. Replace f of x with y. Second is to interchange x and y. So we make y to x and then we make x to y. That's why we have this one. And then we solve for y in terms of x. So kailangan matanggal si minus 8 and times 3. So we did this operations and then we have this one. And then you replace you replace y with the inverse of the function. So we have inverse function x plus 8 divided by 3. Let's have another example. First, you replace f of x with y. And then, you interchange x and y. You solve for y in terms of x. We transpose minus 1. So we have x plus 1 equals 2y. And then we divide this one by 2. So we now have y equals x plus 1 all over 2. And then you replace y with f raised to negative 1 of x equals x plus 1 over 2. So we now have the function its inverse. The question now is, how do we know if we got the correct inverse of the given function? So I'll give you a verification process. By definition, if f raised to negative 1 of x is the inverse of f of x, if this is really an inverse of the given function, then f of f raised to negative 1 of x is equal to f raised to negative 1 of f of x equal to x. So, ito ay recall na lang ng inverse of function. Ang sinasabi dito that when we have f composed of f raised to negative 1, or if f raised to negative 1 is composed of f, dapat equal yung sagot niya and those answers should be equal to x. Let's see if our solution earlier will satisfy this given verification process or property of inverse of function. So, ang ating f of x kanina ay 2x minus 1 and the inverse that we solved for is x plus 1 over 2. So, first we solve for f of f raised to negative 1 of x. So, si inverse, ilalagay natin sa loob ni function f. So, we have now 2, and then the inverse, x plus 1 over 2, minus 1, yan. Dapat nare-recall nyo itong composition of function natin. So, we cancel 2, since yan ay, product. So, what's left is the quantity x plus 1 minus 1, and we know that 1 minus 1 is 0. So, we have now x. So, nasuffice na naman natin siya for the first composition of function. So, let's now do the second composition. That is f raised to negative 1 of f of x. And that is, si 2x minus 1 naman yung ilalagay natin dun sa inverse. So, we have the 2x minus 1 plus 1 all over 2. So, this one, magiging 0 to. So, we have 2x over 2, and then 2 will be cancelled, so we have x. Therefore, we have solved for the correct inverse function in the previous given. That's how we verify. Let's try example number 3. So this one is an example of a radical function. So, bibigyan ko kayo ng iba't ibang klase ng mga function na pwedeng itanong in finding the inverse. Una, again, sundin lang ang process. We change f of x to y. So we have y equal to square root of 1 plus x. Magiging multiply ata ang isusulat ko. 1 plus x. And then, second step is to interchange x and y. 1 plus y. Papalitan lang natin si y ng x at papalitan lang si x ng y para sa mga hindi pa din lubos na nakikita yung ating process. Third is to solve for y in terms of x. So, para mawala yung radical na yan, we have to square both sides of the equation. Yan. Para ma-cancel natin yan. So, we now have x squared equal to 1 plus y. Dito to have it solve for y, so dapat i-transpose natin si positive 1 sa kabila. So, we have now x squared minus 1 equals y. Or, balitarin lang natin, x squared minus 1. If we're done solving for y, nakita na natin nasa kabilang side na si y, no, we go now to step 4, which is to change y to f raised to negative 1 of x. Now, i-verify natin kung ang ating given na function and yung inverse na sinolve natin ay equal. So, ang ating f of x is equal to square root of 1 plus x at ang ating na-solve na inverse ay x squared minus 1. So first, we will use the inverse function and put it in the value of x of the given function. So we have f of f raised to negative 1 of x, which is equal to si inverse na x squared minus 1 ay ilalagay natin sa loob ni f. Set siya. Minus 1. Ayan. And then, nakita natin yung 1 minus 1, that's 0. So, we have square root of x squared na lang. And the square root of x squared is positive x. So, correct tayo dyan. Let's check the other one. Si f naman ang ilalagay natin kay inverse. So, we have the square root of 1 plus x squared minus 1. So, yan. Dahil square yan. So, it's 1 plus x minus 1. And so, we see that there's a 0. And so, it's x. So, therefore, tama yung ating nakuhang inverse kanina na x squared minus 1. Let's go now to our third example. Paano naman kung quadratic? No? Dito sa quadratic na given na to, makikita nyo na walang value si b o walang variable tayo na x raised to 1. So, x raised to 2 lang and then followed by a constant positive 2. So, first step is to replace f of x with y. And then, second step, interchange x and y. And then solve for y in terms of x. So, lipat natin si positive 2. So, this will be negative 2 equal y squared. And to remove the square, we use the square root. So, we have now y equals square root of x minus 2. So, dahil nandyan na yung y sa ating kaliwa, we can now replace y with f raised to negative 1 of x to denote the inverse of the function f of x. And now, I-verify natin ngayon kung tama yung solve natin, na-solve natin na inverse. The given function was x squared plus 2. And then the solved inverse of that function was square root of x minus 2. So, ang gawin muna natin is we solve for f of f raised to negative 1 of x. And that is equal to, si f raised to negative 1 ang ilalagay natin doon. So, we have square root of x minus 2 squared plus 2. So, since squared yan and square root, so we have now x minus 2 plus 2, and that is 0. So, we have now x. So, we're half the way. So, yung isa naman, eto naman, ang ilalagay natin sa loob nito. So, we have square root of x squared minus 2 plus 2. So, we have here 0. So, we have square root of x squared. So, we have x. So, tama yung nakuha natin or na-solve natin na inverse function. Let's now proceed to our fourth example. So, kung yung kanina, wala kayong nakitang middle term dun sa ating quadratic function, dito meron kayong makikitang middle term. So, malaki kasi yung pagkakaiba niyan. May madagdag tayong process. Okay, let's still follow kung ano yung sinasabi ng pagkuha ng inverse of a function. So, we have y equals x squared minus 4x plus 2. Second, you interchange x and y. And then, you solve for y in terms of x. So, kailangan ilipat natin si positive 2 sa kabila, si plus 2. And you can see na dalawa yung y natin. So, dito, ang kailangan lang natin is to make this terms a perfect square trinomial. So, we will look for a third term para maging perfect square trinomial. Itong ating y squared minus 4y. And to get the third term c, that is equal to b over 2 square. So, ang ating b ay negative 4 over 2. That is negative 2 square. That is equal to 4. So, ang ating third term ay 4. So, to add that 4 on as the third term, kailangan i-add din natin siya on the right side of the equation. Plus 4 equals y squared minus 4y plus 4. Yan, para ma-achieve pa rin natin yung equality. No? Whatever you added on the right side, you also add it on the left side of the equation. So, let's simplify. This will become x plus 2. And this will now be a perfect square trinomial. So, we have y, the sign of the second term, and the square root of the third term, square. Ayan. So, kung papansin nyo, pwede natin matanggal yung square na yan by getting the square root. So, we have now square root of x plus 2 equal to, cancel natin yan, and this one, we have y minus 2. So, baliktarin lang natin siya para mapakita natin na yung y ay nasa kaliwa. Kailangan pang nagsusulat kayo, dapat yung radical ay talagang sakop na sakop yung huling term. Yung iba kasi medyo bitin, no? Iba naman sobra. Katulad nito, when we transpose negative 2, it will become positive 2. Pero dapat, hindi siya kasama dun sa radical symbol. Okay, so since we have solved for y already, we have to change it to f raised to negative 1 of x equal to square root of x plus 2 plus 2. Yan. Ang bago kasi dito sa given na to, kapag dalawa yung nagiging variable ni y, uulitin natin, kapag nakikita nyo na dalawa yung variable ni y, you have to look for the third term, and you will use this equation, this formula. Let us now verify kung tama yung naging sagot natin. Remember that our f is equal to x squared minus 4x plus 2. And yung na-solve natin, na inverse niyan, ay square root of x plus 2 plus 2. Now, you can see na medyo marami tayo ditong mga variables at marami yung terms natin. So, maybe we can just look for either of the two na isosolve natin. Basta ang mahalaga, mag-equal siya sa x. So, I think this one is better to use for this example. So, ilalagay natin to sa loob ni inverse. So, we have of f of x which is equal to, so ang ating inverse ay square root of x plus 2. So, si x papalitan natin ng x squared minus 4x plus 2. And then, we have the plus 2. Again, huwag kakalimutan na dapat umaabot yung square root natin. Doon. Yan. So, you can see this is plus 4. So, we have x squared minus 4x plus 4 plus 2. This one is a perfect square trinomial. That is x minus 2 squared plus 2. So, we can cancel this one. So, we have now x minus 2 plus 2. So, you can see 0 na yan and that's equal to x. O, pwede na yan. Pagka nakita nyo na nag-equal to x yung isa sa dalawang composition of function sa ating verifying process or just sa ating verifying procedure, yan, pwede na natin yan ma-confirm na tama ang ating nasagot na inverse function. Now, punta naman tayo sa given na ito. Paano kung ibigay naman sa inyo is you're going to find the inverse of a rational function. So, gawin pa rin kung ano yung step. Ayan. And then we interchange. Ayan. Kapag meron tayong rational function on our second step and we're going to solve for the y in terms of x, kailangan lang natin silang i-cross multiply. So, etong 5, imumultiply natin yan kay x. Si x kasi ang denominator niyan ay 1. So, si x ay kay 5. So, that's 5x equal to, dahil 1 lang naman yan, we still have y plus 2. So, yung cross multiplication lang ang gagawin natin dyan kapag we're dealing with rational function. So, we can now solve for y in terms of x. Or, we have y equals 5x minus 2. And then, the last part is to replace y with f raised to negative 1 of x, 5x minus 2. So, kailangan natin i-verify kung tama yung sagot natin. So, ang ating f of x is equal to x plus 2 over 5. At ang sagot natin sa inverse niyan ay 5x minus 2. So, maybe we can have this one naman. So, we have f of f raised to negative 1 of x is equal to, so, ilagay natin yan dun sa taas. So, we have 5x minus 2 plus 2 over 5. So, this will become 0. So, we'll have 5x over 5 and that's equal to 1. So, we have x. So, tama yung nakuha nating inverse of the function f of x. We're now down to our last example. Ayan. Baka magulat kayo dun sa una kong given, walang value, walang x dun sa denominator. So, maglagay tayo. Ayan. So, y equals 4x plus 8 over x minus 3. Interchange x and y. So, we have x equals 4y plus 8 over y minus 3. Third step, solve for y in terms of x. So, cross-multiply ulit tayo. So, we have here x times y minus 3. So, yan, multiply lang natin yung dalawang yan. Equal to 4y plus 8 times 1. Kasi nga, may 1 dyan sa ilalim yan, no? Always divisible to 1. Yan, distribute lang natin to since may multiplication. Yan. So, kailangan magsama-sama yung mga terms na mayroong y on the same side of our equation. So, lipat natin si 4y dito sa kabila. So, we have now xy minus 4y equals, and then si 3x, negative 3x, ilipat naman natin sa kabila. So, we have 3x plus 8. Because kapag magkasama na yung y dyan, we can factor out. Kasi pares naman silang raised to 1. Yung kanina kasi y squared tapos y. Ito pares siyang raised to 1. We can factor out y. Ayan. At saka natin siya i-divide dyan sa binomial na yan. So we now have, cancel na to, y equals 3x plus 8 over x minus 4. And then, next nating step, i-change lang natin yan to negative 1 of x equals over x minus 4. Let's verify. Ang given natin ay f of x equals 4x plus 8 all over x minus 3. And then, yung na-solve natin, na inverse niyan, is 3x plus 8 over x minus 4. So, we can try using this one. I-verify natin. Is equal to. Ayan. So, si inverse, ang ilalagay natin dun sa ating function. So, we have 4 times the 3x plus 8 over x minus 4 plus 8 all over our x again is 3x plus 8 over x minus 4 minus 3. So yan, dahil may nakita kayo dyan whole number, so we can just simply multiply that to the denominator. Nagawa na natin ito dun sa solving rational equation. So pwede natin siyang i-multiply na lang dyan para maging same sila ng denominator. So we have 4 times 3x plus 8 plus 8 times x minus 4 all over x minus 4. Then, sa baba naman, we have 3x plus 8 minus 3 times 3 minus 3. Ayan. Ito. Times x minus 4 all over x minus 4. So, kapag kasi nag-divide tayo ng fraction, magiging numerator to, i-reciprocate, maka-cancel din to. So, we now deal with these two. So, please follow me here. So, we have now 4 times 3x plus 8 plus 8 times x minus 4 all over 3x plus 8 minus 3 times x minus 4. Careful dyan sa minus na yan. Ang daming nagkakamali dyan. Let's simplify natin to. 12x plus 32 plus 8x minus 32. Wow, I can see may nazi-zero na siya. 3x plus 8 minus 3x plus 12. Ayun. Okay, so may mazi-zero tayo dito. So what we have now is 12x plus 8x is 20x. All over, tong 3x natin, mazi-zero siya. So what we have here is just 8 plus 12, 20. So makakancel si 20, we have x. Yan. So ibig sabihin tama yung na-solve natin na inverse function. Yan. So I hope marami kayo natutunan. You can just go back to this video. Tapos, review the processes, yung mga reminders na binabanggit ko. You keep doing that, keep remember it for yourself. Okay, so see you again in our next video lesson. See you this week. I'll be back to school. Bye everyone.